We are here with Brian Grant, the mayor of Wainfleet.
Good morning, Joe. Nice to have me here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm not even sure where to start exactly, but I think I'll start with that you're mayor of Wainfleet. You own 905 Rentals here in Wainfleet. My favorite thing that I tell almost everyone, even before you were mayor, you're my first friend ever.
Exactly. First friend ever. Born in the houses next to each other.
Came home from the hospital. I don't remember when we met, unfortunately, but we've been friends since the beginning.
Yeah.
And I have to say first, thank you for coming here.
Of course.
And I don't even know if I've ever told you, but knowing each other now 40 years, bro, I'm sure I've told you, but I'm super proud of everything you've done up to this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, like we've been together
It's
the whole
insane.
time.
We have, watched each other grow immensely, especially in the last, say, 10 years, right? Watched you start in real estate, watched me start for 905. If it wasn't for your real estate, my 905 rentals would not exist,
Yeah.
The whole roller coaster ride, we've kind of been there riding that same ride together the entire time. It's pretty awesome.
Bro, it's amazing to me because I talk to a lot of different people online in real life, and to me, friendships are super important. And even though I have like a lot of friends that we know from early stages, grade school, high school, preschool,
Yep.
OG,
Yeah, all the way back. It just doesn't get any tighter than this, right?
And it's awesome that we finally carved out some time. We do talk. We talk a good amount. I think even more so now since you've been put in power here in Wainfleet, but we still always keep the relationship going. I'm not even sure exactly where to start. I'm sure we could be in here for 10 hours. I don't think
Delve
we'll do
right
that.
in. I'm yours right now. Okay. So,
Well, I think the first thing probably we'll talk, well, even before I get into mayor stuff, something that we have really similar in common that I like a lot is that we both live in Wainfleet. We both have home-based businesses that we live at. I think that is fantastic. I just brought you through the newly renovated Right Choice bullpen.
Yeah. Beautiful. Looks a lot different than the last time I was here.
Yeah, it's coming along. And you've got 905
Yeah.
in Wainfleet that you guys have done a lot of beautiful work at too. That looks great down by Lakeshore. So I think that's super cool because like for myself, like Right Choice there, that's what's able to allow me to buy equipment like this, do the pizza reviews and everything. And yeah, you've got 905.
All the fun I have is thanks to 905 Rentals, right?
So,
all the good toys that I get to play with and all the, amazing experiences that I've had over the last 8 years were all started with, just unfortunate events that caused it all. Somebody stealing my Sea-Doo and gave me the bright idea to, I'm going to start a business renting jet skis. And then, that brought us together again, got me, you were the guy that got me my very first mortgage sealed and delivered. So, if it wasn't for that, my business would not maybe exist, right? Or to look very different from what it looks like today.
Totally. So you're down on Lakeshore, Long Beach, and Wainfleet. You said you've been there. It's now been 8 years.
Yeah, we're on our 8th season already.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Feels like it was yesterday still.
It doesn't feel like 8 years at all. But so what do you guys rent over there? What are you guys all about when you open?
These days we are just mainly jet ski rentals and stand-up paddleboard rentals. I still do hydroflight shows, but we no longer offer that just as a rental anymore. We mainly open, say, May 2-4 weekend. We basically shut down Labor Day, where we do a little bit of beach parking on the side. That's pretty much the gist of it, right? We're going through a weird time right now. The pandemic was a fantastic time for us over at 905. Fantastic for business. We've seen a decrease last year with the pandemic coming to an end, and then this year is probably our slowest season we've seen in 8 years.
Interesting.
And I'm going to just say that I think it's probably interest rates and inflation, right? People are just pinching their pennies, right? You're not even seeing the tourism to the beach area at all. We're just not seeing a lot of people on the beach this year like we would in years past. So
that's interesting. I wasn't sure what you were going to say about that because the same thing in real estate. I've been doing it 10 years, and every year for myself has been a better year. And this year is the first year that we're not on pace for that. Unless something drastic happens, it'll be my first time having a year that wasn't better than the year before.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah,
I'm in that same category. Like,
interesting.
We're pulling back a little bit right now, just to, if this is what this summer looked like, what's going to happen in the next coming summers, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the world. So, just like everybody else, you gotta pull back. You can't just keep diving in and going even bigger and badder when, the funds just aren't coming. So, brace.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I find it really interesting because, I've been on a growth trajectory the whole time too. And right now it's like, whoa, how long will this last for?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
Yeah. Because same thing, real estate during COVID, like prices were skyrocketing even before COVID, but COVID caused real estate to go up even more. Houses were selling quickly. And now they're taking longer to sell. Prices have come down from the peak, but they've recovered some, but they're volatile, going up and down, which is like what I'm seeing and experiencing is just with it being so volatile, people are like sitting back and being more hesitant versus like before, like it was people were making quicker decisions.
People were just diving in and like purchasing these properties, right?
Yeah.
And you would probably know best on, probably a lot of these people that got those really low interest rates, several years ago. They're probably almost due for a remortgage right now. And what's going to happen when all those properties come up for remortgage, right?
Yes.
Are those people going to be able to afford to keep these properties? I don't know.
It's definitely going to cause some interesting times because people are already renewing from lower rates. And I think that there's people that are renewing now are typically from 5 years ago where the interest rates were not quite at their lowest, from my memory serving me correctly. Yep. It's people like when I locked in 2-3 years ago, it was right around 2%, which was really close to the bottom. Yeah. So like 3 years from now might be then, but it might even be as soon as a year or two. But people are renewing right now one way or the other at higher interest rates.
Yeah. Even myself, I'm on a variable rate because I'm a commercial property. So commercial at variable rate, I'm paying more than double what I did 12 months ago. On a mortgage payment, right? So, thankfully, 905 holds it down for me. I have my other business. So, without those two working together and now being the mayor of Wainfleet, like I'd be just like everybody else. I'd be in that same boat. I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to stomach it if it wasn't for that.
Totally. Yeah. Right. Variable rate. Yeah. And I'm not sure if you do want to talk about your other business. I always tend to forget that one because that's something.
It's really only since I met my wife. She got me into the idea of you're not satisfied working for the company I did work for, so I went out on my own, and now I work as a private contractor, millwrighting. I only really get to do it a couple times, maybe a week, sometimes maybe even once, depending on how my schedule works with meetings with the township or meetings for regional things. I generally spend a lot of time at Tafasco when I am doing it. Right? It's just it's not something I'm going to give up. I spent 20 years working as a millwright. Now it's just, who knows what happens in 4 years, right? Whether the people will want me back or, we just don't know what Wainfleet's going to look like in 4 years. So, I have to be prepared, for what comes next, right?
Totally.
905 Rentals isn't going to, pay the bills by the looks of it right now. So got to keep something else in the back pocket right there.
Totally. Yeah. And see, that's pretty sweet. You're definitely super handy, creative. You've made me some cool steel art stuff. You got a lot of talent. Like that's pretty sweet. Like you got a lot of great attributes, charismatic, all that stuff that'll carry you far. It's nice. Those other hand skills, like I don't have those. So that's nice that you have those abilities.
I still remember putting the sign up here for Memmy Court together.
Amazing.
Or riding your ATV down Bell Road, towing your signs.
You've definitely come in clutch for me a few times.
Yeah, those are some really good ones.
Mayor stuff.
Yeah.
This is, I'm not sure even where to start. You've been mayor now for how long?
We're just over 6 months, right? I took in November. So November till now. So,
whatever.
Almost, just over 6 months even.
Not even a year.
Yeah, not a year yet, right? We're coming up on a year though. Like we're almost in September. So it's not far off. We're, 9-10 months then, call it, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely been a learning curve, coming from private sector and, more being, able to pretty much do whatever I wish to do when it comes to business right now on the other side of that fence. there's a lot more rules, regulations. You have the best intentions, you have all kinds of great ideas, and a large majority of those ideas get crushed when all of a sudden you get met with, wait, there's legislation that says you can't do that, or this act says you can't do that, and
Right.
so like I feel bad sometimes for Will over at the office, because I just hit him with barrages of ideas sometimes, and he has to be the bearer of bad news, like sorry, can't do that, right? So
right, yeah, which I found really interesting since you started, because I know that we both lived in Wainfleet our whole lives, and super passionate. We both love it here. We both know the challenges that can happen with that building over there, with building or making modifications to properties, these type of things, businesses. Not saying all bad, but we've lived here. We know, like we've
been down those. You've built your own home. I built my own home. We've went through, all those challenges over the years, right? It's definitely something that people still comment on, right? I get a lot of requests from people about past practices that were, 5, 10. I even get requests about information about stuff that happened 20 years ago.
Really?
I'm like, I was 18, or, like there's stuff people have asked me about like from 1998. And I'm like, I was in high school, right? I'm like, I can't do anything for the stuff that happened 20 years ago. I can do, as much as I possibly can for anything that has happened from November 15th, 2022 for the next 4 years, right? I can do anything that you need me to do, right? I will, try to do it as best, right? Oftentimes, it really sucks to, bear the burden of, being the guy that has to give bad news, or not being able to do what people are hoping you can do, right? People get the idea that you're, almighty and you have all this power being an elected official, but you're not. You're a member of a council. You have, rules and regulations that you have to follow. And, at the end of the day, everything comes down to a vote. There's not, I don't overrule anybody else, right? We are one unit, divided by just 5 separate opinions. That's it. So,
right. You're one of many.
That's right.
So what about, I know that since you've been mayor, it's not just mayor, because you're mayor, you're a council member of the, what is that, regional councilor?
Yeah, so I'm the mayor of Wainfleet. I'm the regional councilor for the township of Wainfleet, and then I sit on many boards. So I sit on the Niagara Transit Commission. I sit on the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. I also sit on the Finance Committee for the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. Then I also sit on Public Works at the region, and I also sit on Corporate Services at the region.
Wow. See, that's something that I think a lot of people might not know about. Even myself, I didn't really know about all the different committees, and even talking to other politicians in different positions, I think that's something I didn't know. I have to assume not everybody knows. It's not just, you're not just the mayor.
No.
It then comes with all these different.
You are you're required to sit on at least one board just during your term as a regional councilor. So I could have just sat on Public Works if that was my choice. I didn't have to pick up any other ones, but you want to learn as much as you can. You want to actually understand this stuff, and if you're not on these boards and you're not being a part of these conversations, well, you're not going to continue to learn. You're not going to grow, and I'm not going to be effective. So I attend all these meetings and just learn a lot of the stuff that comes with it. Regionally, we get a lot of stuff that involves the region and not so much Wainfleet. There's a lot of issues that come up at the region that don't actually have anything to do with Wainfleet for the most part. It doesn't affect us.
A minute part of the region.
Like on Public Works, if I'm talking about a wastewater treatment plant, we don't use the wastewater treatment plants, other than contractors who are coming and pumping out your tanks and then delivering it to them. But they're now paying the fee to the region, right? We're not a part of that, right? Same thing with water delivery. Water delivery is the same thing. We don't have a part of that. But under Public Works, there's also your waste management. So all our garbage pickup and things like that. When people have concerns about garbage pickup, I just spoke to a resident yesterday that owns commercial property, and the garbage delivery guy wouldn't take his 4 bags, and that's what's rated for a commercial property, right? So
really,
just gotta pick up the phone, call the commissioner, let them know the address, and say, okay, can you make sure that the guys on the route understand that this is a commercial property, right? We've dealt with that with some farm properties as well. Farmers are allowed different amounts of garbage to be picked up again, and like I had to make the phone call and say, like, he literally drove his tractor to my house. It's a dairy farm. There's cows right there,
Right.
And yet the delivery or the pickup driver still didn't pick them up. And I'm
Really?
like, I have to explain these things to the region, right? Like, perhaps many people at the region probably don't really know too much about Wainfleet and wouldn't know their way around, right? So
see, like that one I find pretty interesting with the region too, because I believe we're the largest geographical area within Niagara as far as area, but we're the smallest population.
we are.
Right?
Yeah.
So that, like, I know talking to anybody when talking at a regional level, how it's a challenge for Wainfleet because, we're such a small portion of the population. And even on council, there's how many regional council members?
Cool.
A whole bunch, right?
It's like 30-ish.
30-ish. And then there's one you from Wainfleet, right? So
one representative from Wainfleet. I know like Welland has 2 reps. St. Catharines for sure has 2, right? So like the bigger municipalities have multiple regional reps, right?
Like Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
exactly.
Yeah. That's interesting. So it makes it
right. And then you include all the mayors. Like each mayor sits on regional council, right, as well.
Which I think is a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It just sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
But
well, you don't want to be left in the dark when the big decisions are being made about your town, right? That's if you're not there, you're not participating, you're not gonna know what's happening and know what's going on. So that's not something you want to miss, right?
Yeah. So something I know years ago, I remember talking when I was doing podcasting years ago with some people, and I don't know if it's on the table or not now. I'm not even sure amalgamation. Yeah,
that's a big one that people talk about right now, right? At the region, we don't know what's going to happen yet. So the Ford government has stepped in and said that, we're going to put in a facilitator to look at Niagara.
Okay, so it comes from above.
It comes from above. And it has been public knowledge that there's been statements made that Niagara has too many politicians. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of ideas floating around. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. There's the idea of like Niagara as one city, right? There's the idea of maybe being split into 4, Niagara east, west, south, north type thing. But we just don't know what they're going to do yet, right? They haven't said anything to us yet. They're basically just going to pick us apart, and we're going to have to fall in line, right? We're not going to have that opinion, and hopefully they do come to all the mayors and speak to the council and come to some sort of an agreement on what we're going to look like when this is all said and done. But we don't know what's going to happen yet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wasn't quite sure on how that worked. I wasn't sure where the push was coming from, or where push or pull or anything. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's similar with what like Toronto went through when it became the mega city. It's similar to like what Peel just went through. Niagara's been on the radar. This is something that's been like discussed, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. The government said, you guys need to, either downsize or work together better. And, they're still looking at us today going, well, there's still more to be done. Right. Like we all should be considering shared services, things that can be more cost effective, especially for Wainfleet. That's very important for us. Totally. We have a very small budget, and it's easy to get caught up in it because the rules change every year. The government passes more responsibilities down to the lower tier municipalities, and then that's us, the taxpayers, that have to pay for those things, right? If it was upper tier before, and that wasn't coming from our true Wainfleet dollars, it was coming from the province, or if it was upper tier, it's regional dollars. But as it keeps getting pushed down the line, that comes directly to us taxpayers, and that's where we have to try to figure out what are we going to do to lessen this cost on everybody, right? Because nothing's getting cheaper. You see it every day, right? The world just keeps getting more expensive, right? Yeah, like how much more can everybody stomach is the real question, right?
That's interesting. From what you're hearing out there, because I'm sure there's got to be pros and cons to the amalgamation. Are you hearing? Is
the fear for Wainfleet is do we lose our image? Do we lose who makes the decisions on what happens and what kind of builds and things like that happens in Wainfleet, right? Nobody in Wainfleet wants to see Wainfleet turn into a place like Binbrook or anything like that, right? Like it's a common term used. We don't want to be Binbrook, right? Binbrook's a prime example. In my 20s, the place was nothing. There was nothing there. You drove through and it was a blink of an eye. And now you drive through and it's townhouse after townhouse after townhouse for as far as the eye can see, right? Well, nobody wants that to happen to Wainfleet. And what happens is if the decisions are made by people that don't live in Wainfleet, well, then what are we going to look like? You know, what's going to happen? So that's going to be a fear. And then, you know, say we become one city and there's one counselor from Wainfleet now instead of, you know, a group of counselors. Well, now there's only one vote for a Wainfleet decision, right? Again, those all are scary things for, you know, people like you and me who, you know, grew up here, and we don't want to see massive change. You know, I'm not saying we don't need to, you know, adapt, and we do need some growth and things like that. But, you know, that's got to be responsible, and, you know, it can't change the dynamic of Wainfleet. I don't want to lose our Wainfleet feel by any means.
Totally.
You know, that's the last thing I want to see done.
Totally.
You know?
I think that's a misconception too, working in real estate. I think a lot of people think that myself would like to see Wainfleet become the Binbrook or Toronto or anything. I'm about responsible growth too. I think everywhere. I think that there's a lot of room in Wainfleet for growth, but it doesn't mean that it has to be so crazy. But regardless of how I feel about it, the way I look at growth and urban sprawl personally is like, it's happening. It's coming. Wainfleet at some point, like the development, Niagara is like becoming more and more popular. Like people coming from GTA has been happening for at least 5 or 6 years since I've been in real estate. It's been since prices have started going up. We've seen in real estate the draw to Niagara going up, and like Niagara's always been more affordable than GTA. And the way I see it, Niagara is absolutely beautiful. Like we're between two of the Great Lakes. Yeah, we've got United
Porter
States.
Gun, Niagara River to one side. You know, Grand River, Welland River, like the Wreck Canal, the actual Seaway Canal. Like there's way too much to offer here.
Totally, the States is close by. Wineries. We've got shopping. Toronto is not that far away. Like sometimes you can get to Toronto quicker from here than from one side of Toronto to the other.
Absolutely. As a business owner, people always think cottage time. You know, people think Toronto, you know, you're going to go north, you're going to go to Muskokas, things like that. We see a draw of people coming south to us because it's easier, less traffic to get to Niagara than it is to, you know, travel through the other side of Toronto to get to the north. It's too much for people. So, you know, why just travel 2.5 hours when, you know, you travel an hour and a half?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And then you're down here. Yeah. And like we've seen a lot of growth in Niagara. As far as I understand, St. Catharines is close to or out of development area. Welland has been booming for years now. Fawn Hill's starting to.
Niagara Falls is running low on industrial right now. Like they're pretty much tapped out on, you know, how much more can we put in here? They can't.
Yeah, right? It's interesting. So like if people are coming to Niagara, that's just going to keep coming down. And after that, it's Port Colborne. And then once Port Colborne, Fort Erie, like at some point, if Niagara keeps going through growth, Wainfleet will be a spot that will be looked at. And I know there's a lot of reservations, but this is just how urban sprawl works to how I understand it. But right now we're not there, but it'll be interesting to see. As
people don't realize that we're mandated by the regional official plan and our other master plans that we are actually mandated at 92% farmland. Right. You can't change that. If you are in a, you know, prime agricultural area in Wainfleet, you are not getting, you know, rezoned. There's no way it's going to happen. Like
I know I've been through some people trying to do it for different reasons.
I got a lot of phone calls at the beginning of my term of people, you know, making that a call saying like, well, I want to do this. Right. Well, what's your property zone? Right. Well, it's zoned agricultural. You know, sit on it because, you know, people don't realize that, with that 92% mandated farmland, the remaining 8% of Wainfleet, only about 4% of it is actually developed. So we have this little 4% that we're actually trying to develop, and that's going to give us our growth. That's going to, you know, slow down this steady increase of taxes and things like that, right? But without it, it's just going to keep getting more expensive. The cost of fuel, the cost of equipment, the cost of everything just keeps going up. And every time it goes up, we don't have industrial, we don't have commercial to, you know, support those increases. So where does it go? It comes off the backs of us, the taxpayers. And
what a tough battle, eh? Like people of Wainfleet, I would say the vast majority enjoy Wainfleet being a rural area.
Of course.
But as we know, taxes have not gotten cheaper. They've gone up.
Absolutely. Mine's more than double what it used to be, you know, and that's not including my new construction, like just what I paid for, back in 2015 when I purchased my property to what I pay now is just over double. Almost triple. We're nearing triple right now. So, that's huge. And that's without, MPAC's increases. MPAC hasn't done a property assessment because they've done a freeze on it during COVID. So, what happens when MPAC all of a sudden walks around and goes, okay, everybody's houses are now worth, $500,000 more. So now what's that going to do to everybody?
So that's very interesting. I'll just step in with that for people that don't completely understand how property taxes actually work, what people pay, because I'm not sure if everyone understands, but there's two factors that play a role into it. It's the tax rate of the municipality or city. So like in Wainfleet, I think it's around 1.7% ish. I don't know. It's somewhere in there. And then it's MPAC assesses each property at a certain value, and you multiply those two. And like you just said, at some point they're supposed to do reassessment every 4 years. I believe
that's what it is.
Frozen over COVID. They haven't done a new one that I've seen. I'm not sure when it's scheduled for or what, but
I can't be certain. It was 2018 or 2019 was when it was supposed to happen, and it didn't. So we are roughly 4 to 8 years behind the ball already on what the MPAC's assessments are going to be, right? And as you know, with real estate, property values insanely amount. Like I purchased my properity for $120,000 back when I bought it. What's it worth today? Scary thought.
A lot more. It'll be interesting to see how everything plays out with that. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons they haven't done it yet, because of all the economical changes that have happened and what's supposed to be the result of it. Because as I understand, and this is just how I understand it, but if MPAC does come out and reassess properties higher, I don't think that they would go right to like market values, because like it seems like, but even if they did, let's just say they doubled MPAC values. I have no idea. And like they do it over a prorated time, where they'll do it over years. But if they did that, as I understand, and I could be wrong, that doesn't mean that everybody's property taxes would double, because there, in theory, should be some type of correction with the rate to come down with that. Now, that's in theory, and I don't know. I haven't seen that, because like if everybody's property taxes all of a sudden doubled, first of all, that would be detrimental to a ton of people. But as far as I understand, these two things, the tax rate and the assessment, are supposed to go along together with municipalities' budgets, and they budget along with that. And not to say that Wainfleet doesn't need more money. Now, I don't think if that happened, that money would work, because I don't think people would be able to afford if they doubled all of a sudden.
No, of course
I don't think so. I know people are having a hard time with them going up, how they've been going up at like whatever rate it's been, 4, 6, 8%, whatever, which isn't like a crazy amount when you break it down, but I mean, it's getting more expensive.
When you add, increase in property taxes plus the increase of fuel for your cars,
along with everything
interest
else.
Rates have, doubled and things like that. Like we're looking at numbers like 40% increase in insurance rates on regional services on certain like aspects of the region. Like when you start talking about that, well, where do the dollars come from? Where do they get the funds from? It's insane. I will say I feel like the system is broken. There's no easy fix for it. It's been being done this way forever, and at some point, there's going to be a breaking point. And I don't want to see us end up like the States. A few years back when there was tons and tons of foreclosures and things like that, and people just claiming bankruptcy. But like it's there. It's lingering in the background. It could happen.
Yeah, it definitely can happen. I don't want to be a rain cloud over stuff either, but I know that.
But it's real.
It is real, and some type of correction, some type of different path, and I'm not sure how that looks, because there definitely is broken parts in the system. So and like that's something that I imagine you find interesting too, going from a regular guy to all of a sudden being on the front line of some of these politics and stuff, is seeing how I don't even know. Like you're the one in the front line.
It's crazy sometimes when I look back on life and I sit and I think of, where I started to where I am today. And I'm baffled by it sometimes, or sometimes I just don't understand where people don't see the common sense in it. You know, everybody wants to see growth, right? As a responsible business owner, you need to know when to pull the reins back and slow down. And, you know, quite frankly, nobody wants to hear the word decrease in service levels. But if things keep getting worse, you know, what else can you do?
What can you do?
If I don't decrease, you know, service levels at, you know, whether it be regional level, municipal level, if services don't decrease, the costs are still just going to keep going up, and it's not going to be affordable for people. People aren't going to be able to stomach it. So, you know, what else can you do, right? Everybody has big ambitions, and, you know, you want to be, you know, on that, you know, regional council that did all these great things and, you know, helped, you know, build this, you know, like right now where they're building the new hospitals and things like that, right? Yeah, those are all great needs, right? But with all those certain needs, there's also got to be pullbacks, right? And same with requests, right? A lot of times residents across the region don't realize that, like, for every request you ask for, there's a dollar amount that goes with that. You know, like if you want another police officer in Wainfleet to be on duty all the time, you're going to spend approximately $200,000 a year to keep that officer here. You know, that's the reality of it, right?
Because it's not just the wage. Somebody might hear that and say,
exactly. It's not the wage.
Everything comes with
everything.
a cost.
There's wages, there's cruiser, you know, equipment, you know, fuel. You're
there's
like
somebody that's managing that police officer above them. There's a dispatcher.
Exactly. And it just grows and grows and grows, you know, and like right now for last year's budget, a 1% increase to the budget for Wainfleet is approximately $80,000. In 2023, what can you get for $80,000? You know, when you're talking like, you know, like we need to buy, you know, fire trucks or something like that. These are $1 million pieces of equipment, right? What's $80,000 going to do to help, right? Yeah. It's not going to help. When you talk about bridges, our bridges, $500,000 to $1 million to repair a bridge. Well, they have to get done. You know, we can't just not do them. The Beach Road project that we're working on right now, that's close to a couple million. And
what's a Beach Road project?
That's like down at the area of Bellevue and like basically Lakeshore and Bellevue. So Beach Road. Sorry, drawing a blank for a second on all the names.
It's all good,
but that entire area. So it's like been decimated. Last year's winter storm just destroyed it.
Christmas storm?
Exactly, right? Those areas were hit the absolute hardest. The roads and drains in that area can't support storms like that. It was never meant to support storms like that. We've seen huge increases in climate, you know, differences between, you know, when we were kids to today. Well, we are embarking on a new structure of the entire roads. We're updating the entire system. Well, if we don't do that, all those homes in those areas are just going to be destroyed by weather every year, to the point, like I've had calls from residents. Their insurance companies have told them, this is it, last time. You know, we're not going to, no more claims, because you're in an area that is known to have this problem. Man. So they're like, you know, we've had to put 4 claims in over the last 5 years, you know, well, how much, like, insurance companies are like, nope, I'm not going to do it. If it happens again, you know, sorry, you know. Wow. So like that's terrifying, right?
That Christmas storm was pretty wild.
It was bad. I had to evacuate my own home.
Yeah, you were without power for.
My house was out for about 3 days without power. I evacuated to my sister's house. Spent Christmas sleeping on my sister's couch. So
that was a wild. That one was, I mean, we've been talking a little bit mixed neutral and a little bit of challenging stuff, but with the Christmas storm, as tough as it was, the one thing that I really liked was how the community pulled together from what I had seen. I was just witnessing it personally, being stuck in my house, not being able to leave either, not being able to go to our family function at my mom's, but seeing like Wainfleet discourse on Facebook and different people in Wainfleet that were literally saving some people. Oh yeah. Like there was people stranded on the side of the road in a storm with nowhere to go. I'll
tell you, I had to declare the state of emergency, and then I had to literally break my own order to save my own family. You know, like I signed the order, and later on that morning, I had to break my own order and travel the roads, even though it was deemed.
Did you get in trouble?
Right. Well, no, I made it. Right. You and I both know me, and I'm not a faint of heart, thankfully, because of the
you
business.
weren't gonna die.
No, and I traveled in a convoy. I went with my father-in-law, who was also evacuating the Lakeshore area. We traveled together. We had a plan. My truck, because of the my millwrighting business, my truck is equipped with a lot of gear that most people wouldn't have.
Right.
To the point that just slow and steady. What would normally take me 10 minutes to reach my sister's house, it took me almost 3 hours to get there because we were getting stuck. We were coming across drifts that were bigger than my truck, and there's an odd one that you try to power into, and the truck goes in, you get about 20 feet, that's it. So now you have the second vehicle behind you. So you jump out of the truck, you hook straps up, you tow each other out, and then you try to detour. So I think we maybe did 4 or 5 separate detours to finally get us to it. We had to go out into Dunnville and then come back around Highway 3 to get to home. Right. There was a tractor trailer out just between the village and Osterhahn Corners on Highway 3, blocking the entire road. So we attempted to go that way first. Couldn't make it, had to turn around, went back down concession 1, came across some other travelers on Burkett that were stuck, right? Had to navigate through that, made it out to Pettit Road because my sister lives out in Winger there. Got onto Pettit from the feeder, headed towards Bell, and just buried. Like the, drifts were the entire length of the road and, maybe 20 feet tall.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Right. Even leaving my house, I had to leave my house in the middle of the night before because we lost power and I had a newborn at the time. It got so cold that he couldn't sleep anymore. So we left to my in-laws who had power just literally not even a kilometer down the road. I found myself driving on people's front lawns. Couldn't tell where I was.
So
I'm looking at the mailboxes and I'm like, wait a minute, the mailbox is pointing the wrong way. No, it's me. I'm on somebody's front lawn. Crazy.
That was a crazy one. That was wild, and it was nice that it was only a few days of not being able to travel. I don't know how long the emergency actually was.
It was roughly about 24 hours was the actual declaration to stay off the roads, and that was just we kind of missed we came in, there was almost 10, 12 hours of really, really bad, and then declared the state of emergency. And the biggest thing was because once people were getting stuck and they were abandoning these vehicles, well, now you can't get the plows out. You can't plow the roads.
Vehicles everywhere.
Vehicles are just stuck in the road. Well, you can't plow the car, what are you going to do now, right? Even to the point that we had a plow that got stuck and got off, went off the road on station. Same idea,
There was one stuck on Deeks Road too.
Yeah, exactly.
It was crazy.
Right? And then fire services, right? Yeah, if they get calls, they still got to go out to try to help people. Well, if there's cars blocking their path the whole way, what are they going to do? How are they going to get there? Right.
That was a wild one.
Yeah. Right. It was a scary situation. It was definitely a wake up call. Especially, Lakeshore area gets hit worse than most just because of the lake. And, in the future, we got to come up with a better plan, right? Even me, I wasn't prepared for it. I thought, whatever, they say it's going to be bad. It'll be fine. No, it's bad.
That was wild. Yeah. That was a wild one. We have definitely been hit with some storms. There was one, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, Halloween one that was.
Yeah, that was, I believe 2019.
Yeah. 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 Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a rough one. That was a really
flooding. Right?
Yeah, there was some major flooding. Right, even in 2021, we had another storm kind of similar like that. I remember I had to jump out of my truck and push boulders off of Lakeshore Road because I drive a lifted pickup truck and my truck was still dragging on these boulders, so I had to stop in between waves and run and push these rocks out of the way, jump on top of them while the wave crashes by, and then keep pushing until I get all these rocks off so I can get down the road.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Right. Never a dull moment living in Wainfleet.
No, definitely not. What else can we talk about Wainfleet?
Marshville's coming up.
Marshville Heritage Festival, and we'll be working the gate together.
I
don't know
together.
if we've locked.
We haven't locked it in yet. Tanya messaged me the other day, and I haven't responded yet. I had to confirm. I got to ask Aaron. Aaron, if you're listening, I need to make sure I'm allowed to go with Joe on one morning.
I talked to Aaron too, so we're definitely. I forget when, and we have to lock it in. You and I will be at the front gate for a period of time, welcoming people, doing tickets. Yeah, Marshville Heritage Festival, annual event in Wainfleet, our biggest event.
Yep.
it draws out a lot of people. That's Labor Day weekend, right?
Yeah. A couple weeks away. That's it.
Yeah, it's not too far away, and that's
And then Fall Fair coming up, right? It's going to be another good one.
Yeah, but with the Heritage Festival, it's not. It's heritage, so it's not that it's a new dynamic, crazy event each year. It's that we showcase and highlight like Wainfleet's, some of the origins, a lot of the old school stuff, some of the old school cars. There's food vendors, which is always good.
Country boys, guys, gotta hit
boys,
that up
for sure.
Right?
Get a
pulled pork poutine.
I love it. Yeah, it's funny with the Heritage Festival because I remember as a kid I used to love going, and then I don't know if when I got to my teens I lost a little bit of interest with it, maybe because I like partying a little bit more. But now, I really
grow out of it, but comes back now.
I really do enjoy the event. It's just nice that everybody comes together, get to see a lot of people. Like when we go there, we know we're going to see all kinds of people, whether you've seen them recently or it's been a while. It's nice. Yeah,
it's really nice to see, whether it be people that, I used to go to church with when we lived on the other side of Wainfleet and things like that, right? Old teachers, it's everybody that you used to run into playing baseball and stuff like that, right? You don't see these people for years. And, it's always nice when you run into somebody. It's like you just saw them yesterday, it's like no time has passed. The conversation just goes right back to normal.
Totally. Totally. And then, a few weeks after, we got Fall Fair. My favorite highlight is the nightly derbies. And
Sign me up. Right.
Those are fun.
Hey, you participated in the ATV Mud Bog years ago for me, right?
That was
the gold medal jacket or jacket, I should say.
The jacket. That was a good one. That was a good time.
Yeah. Didn't you get hosed down by the fire department? I believe you did.
Oh yeah, I was filthy. I didn't make it through.
You got my ATV stuck. Yeah, that's true.
I didn't wreck it though.
No. Just filled it with water a little bit, but I knew you were gonna. I didn't have any faith in you.
I don't have enough practice. Something that recently in Wainfleet, another thing that super impressed me, I'm not sure if any of your kids are involved with it or not, but how ginormous Wainfleet youth soccer has become.
My son just got first place in his division.
Yeah,
right. We just were there on Saturday for the final game.
Oh, nice. I was there Saturday too. I didn't see it. It's so crazy how many kids there are.
It's humongous, right? It's just insane. They're even they said keep an eye on the website and the Facebook page because they're going to be doing something different with registration for next year because the amount of kids is just so huge, right? Like they had to, make more fields it looked like this year compared to, right?
Like they're playing almost on Marshfield drives, people's backyards and stuff.
Literally like out behind the ATV mud bog pit and the Derby area and stuff like that.
It's pretty wild. I love seeing it. I started playing this year in Wainfleet adult soccer, which is nowhere near adult soccer. They call it adult. It's 17 plus, and the 17-year-olds
getting your butt kicked a little bit.
Oh man, they run in circles around me.
I can't imagine. Hold on, time out, you guys. I need a break. I can't breathe.
Oh yeah, I'm the first one to sub every time, but it's a lot of fun. But it's amazing to see how much that program has grown, and just from me being involved now, I know that with it growing and there being some changeover that they're looking for help on the committees. So I don't know if anybody's listening this long into me and you shoot shit about Wainfleet or not, but if anybody is in Wainfleet or not, or in Wainfleet, or I guess even not, because there's people coming from all over
there's tons
the region
of people, right?
to play in the leagues.
Absolutely. We see kids from Dunnville. We see kids from Smithville. I'm sure.
I think St. Catharines.
Oh yeah. Right.
I think I heard somebody tell me they're from St. Catharines.
Yeah. It's insane the amount of support that there is for that program, right? I never really played soccer. I was the, Wainfleet slow pitch. Me and you were on the same team, right? Playing for Sue back in the day.
I love it. Sue Dunveston. That was great times.
Yeah, those were good times, right? But I try to get my kids into it now for baseball, but they just want soccer these days, right?
Yeah,
kids are just more into soccer. It seems like, right? I got high hopes. I'm still trying to push them to play some ball.
Well, the Wainfleet Youth Baseball League, it seems like they're doing pretty good. Dave Silver lives a couple streets over from here, and I know that he's a big part of it, if not the head of it, and he's been doing a good job over there for years. Good. But it's not quite as wild as the soccer program. But
and for me, I haven't, just like you, I'm sure, right? You don't pay attention to the youth as much because you didn't have kids, right?
Yeah.
So now that I have kids, now I'm like, revisiting my own youth, and I'm looking back at it going like, oh, I remember this, right? Like I get upset every time I see the canteens never open, and I'm like, that was like my favorite thing, going to baseball and then getting some French fries and a freezy at the canteen, right?
Yeah.
I still see the lady that worked there all the time.
Really?
Still run into her. Yeah. Right.
No way.
Like just crazy. Right. Like, and I always say hello, and she looks at me like, who the heck are you? Right.
That canteen. Yeah. I missed that too, but that's a tough thing for a business to take over. I know
it is
because like you need the resources for it, the hours.
Well, again, it comes back to regulations and laws back then. There wasn't as many laws. You could put, commercial equipment in there with nothing, right? Well, now if you wanted to put like a commercial style kitchen equipment, we'd have to do a whole revamp, right? Well, again, where does that money come from, right?
Totally.
Well,
totally.
Is it worth it right now? No.
Is it worth it? That's the whole thing. Yeah. Interesting.
No. Right? Don't want to spend money we don't have to. No. It's the bottom line.
Yeah. Right? I bet you've learned quite a bit about, the budgeting of Wainfleet because how much things do cost. I know. I know that the biggest cost that I've seen, the biggest cost in Wainfleet, from what I understand, I could be wrong, is bridges, roads, and I think staffing are probably the big.
Yeah, we're up there. Bridges and roads are definitely one of the biggest things. People aren't aware of this, but we are. I believe we're the biggest, but if we're not the biggest, we're almost the biggest. Biggest open drain system in the province. So
what does that mean?
So we have the most ditches, and with that comes like roadside cutting and things like that. So when you describe the biggest open ditch system in the entire province, well, for every open ditch, there's basically a road almost that goes with it. So you can imagine how many kilometers and kilometers of roads and things like that we have, right? I actually just inquired the other day about the cost to tar and chip a road, like to put in pavement, right? It's approximately $100,000 for each kilometer that you do. Right. So
$100K for a kilometer.
Absolutely. Like that's insane. Right. Even just at council, we talked about automated speed enforcement areas for community safety zones. People are inquiring about that. And it's happening at the region. Well, at the region, we just discussed it. To implement that is $30,000 in civil works. So all your electrical and things like that has to go in. It costs you approximately $30,000. And then it's $120 a day to the vendor that actually runs the program to, capture the tickets and things like that. Right. It's like,
so to do that, you would have to be nabbing a ton of people.
You better be catching, 5 a day to cover the costs.
It would still take however long to recoup it before you're in the black.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Right. So that's huge. Right. We just had one area that was brought up regionally. We didn't make the cut for the next 12, 13 that are going in over the next year. But it's nice to see that, it is noticed that there is areas in Wainfleet that do pop up and make it to that regional list. The area that they just brought up was between Daly Ditch and Station Road on Lakeshore.
Okay.
Right? And that's just given the, traffic flows and, the amount of people that are traveling through there and the rate of speed that people go through. Right. There was an accident there, a month ago, just on the outskirts, or a couple of years back, a guy was backing his truck out of the DJ's parking lot as a motorcycle came by and, smoked the guy on the bike. Right. So, those are scary spots, right?
Yeah, totally.
All the beachgoers, people, because Wainfleet residents, you can park on Braun Road to access the beach, right? Well, you got to cross Lakeshore, and that's just like a speed spot. Everybody just seems to think that, they come through that. There. Oh yeah, they come through that corner, and then they hit that straightaway, and it's just like lightning fast, right? I live in the center of it, so me being speed demon, I'm always cocking my head back, like, who is that? Right? But I'm like, wait, no, don't speed.
That's hilarious.
Right? My 20-year-old self would have been like, yeah, but my 40-year-old self's like, hey, I got kids, slow down.
Take it easy. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What else, Wainfleet? We've got there's a few other things that come to mind. I mean, if we want to talk about things that are, shall I call them controversial? I don't know. Like the fire hall has been an interesting one.
That's a huge one. Everybody talks about.
I don't even know if I didn't really prep you for these.
No,
things.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay.
I don't. Yeah, but
the grand opening's coming up.
Yeah, I know.
October
I'm
13th,
really looking forward to it.
It's something that, Wainfleet did need an upgrade. Maybe we should have done an upgrade sooner. These decisions weren't made, during my term already. This was already done. I have got to do some progress tours and things like that, and it's nice to see that we're going to have this big, beautiful space now to use, and that will actually benefit our volunteer firefighters. But at the end of the day, as a taxpayer, I still have a hard time stomaching a $7 million bill for a place like Wainfleet. It does suck. It's it's not an easy pill to swallow.
One thing that I think, I'm not sure where it comes down from, but there's a fire, I don't know if it's fire emergency or fire act, where there's some type of legislation, again, coming from above, where they set out what different municipalities have to follow. And I'm pretty sure I looked at it, it could have been 15 years ago when I first seen it. Before I was in real estate, before anything, just when I started to just be like a little bit of aware. And I could have sworn back then seeing something where there was a plan to make a more of a centralized fire department.
Yeah. This is something they've talked about for
a
20
long
years.
time. Yeah, like a long, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, like if we would have done it a long time ago, could have cost, $500,000, a couple $100,000.
I know that. See, that's the interesting thing, because the cost is not cheap, but yeah, if it had to get done at some point, it's like, okay, well, how do you stomach that? And would it have been better to do it before? Is now the right time? It's like we talked about, things don't get cheaper. So I don't know what exactly the right decision is as far as fiscally or whatever. To me, first of all, if it was basically, if you want to call it mandated and it had to happen, it's like, okay, like it's now trying to figure out when to pull the trigger. And like overall, it's a great service because it's going to be helping the people in Wainfleet in emergency situations. But like we talked about, these things come with a cost, and yet $7 million, whatever the number ends up being or was or whatever.
And at $7 million, we still have, we have trucks that need to be replaced and things like that. And these trucks, same thing, they're past their service life, right? They're not even considered active duty equipment when it comes to the Firefighters Association, right? Because they're outside of their life expectancy. So, they all are coming up on the horizon. But again, where does it stop, right? Really though, what is the choice, right? You can't put a price on somebody's life, of course, right? But at the same time, you're not going to have a town if people can't afford to stay in it, because these costs keep going through the roof, right? So
do we get any help from above with, I know there are.
So you get debentures from the region, and then there's some
debentures.
So that's basically just a loan from the region, right? Okay. So anytime, the way that the system generally works is if we need to borrow money for something, we go to the region to borrow the money, right? And then the region carries those debts for us, right? So that's how everybody, across the region does it, right? I deal with that kind of stuff at corporate services all the time, right? You're approving, a loan to, St. Catharines, a loan to West Lincoln, a loan to Welland, loans to Wainfleet for, X amount of dollars for whatever the services are, right?
Interesting.
We would be looking at stuff like that when it comes to the Beach Road project, or anytime we have to do a bridge or something like that, right? We're obviously always looking for grant money as well, from the feds and stuff like that, or from the province. Right?
You don't have to pay those back.
We want grants. Grants are great, right?
Brian Grant.
Right, I was just gonna say it. But it's not as easy to get either, right? They're tough. There's only so many out there. There's only so many in a year. It's just not an easy task for people to get, right? And then, again, staffing, we talked about big issues, staffing. Well, we keep being mandated to hold more positions, right? The government keeps handing down, more tasks for the municipality to handle. Well, or if you don't have specific positions, then you are not classified in a certain class, and then you lose some of your funding. So you have to have these positions there, right?
And that's something you definitely didn't know. I imagined before.
Right. Coming into it, I was just like everybody else, what the heck's going on over there? We're spending all this. Now you go on the inside of it and you do work with
what an eye opener.
It is. You get in there and you realize that, the people that work in the office are not your enemy. They are doing the very best that they possibly can. I see it day in and day out. They wear so many different hats. They work like any one of them could literally pick up, go get a job for a bigger city, do way less work, get paid way more, but they choose to stay here because they like Wainfleet. They're just like us. They love the feel of Wainfleet. There are people that are aspiring that want to come and work for Wainfleet because of the atmosphere that the town hall has. Like, it is known to everybody across the region that, Wainfleet has a very good relationship when it comes to staffing and things like that, right?
So now, I got to bring something up then with this, because
go for it.
At the debate,
you
definitely made a comment about staff. And that's one of the things that I've really appreciated since you've become mayor is how much you've learned. Because I know when you went in, like just like anybody else, you knew what you knew from the outside, but not from the inside. And like one of the things is like, is there too much staff? Right. And now once you get in there, you get to see.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. And
that was talking about the debate, right? My exact, like maybe not my exact wording, but I said, I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, like, okay, wait, why do we have this? Why do we have this? Well, okay, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to ask those questions. And if there's a way to downsize, I'm going to do it. But if there isn't, then I can't, and unfortunately, you're like all, everybody's all up in arms, like ready to go. Like I was, it's been said to me like that, like staff were a little nervous,
I can
finding
imagine.
out that I was becoming the mayor because, even in my business life, I've had some run-ins with the township. So, here I am like, wait a minute, this is this guy that, keeps, popping up on our radar. And now, we have to work with this guy. But, as it all plays out, you find yourself going like, why do we have to have this? Well, I understand why you don't think we should, but this is like, we have to, we're mandated to hold this position. Oh,
this is the reason.
Or like, why was this position created? Well, because there was a need. And so we did an independent study and the independent auditor stated that this is what's going to fix your problem. We had a lot of problems in building, I dealt with that stuff, right? I had a lot of issues with our building department, and it was brought up that, you needed a bridge between building and permits and planning. So now you have community business development, right? So that was a need that was brought in by this outside auditor, and that's why that position was created. And if you talk to people now, it's a lot smoother of a process than what it was, back when I was trying to build, at least, right? And I still get calls about, chief building officers from when, when I was dealing with it, and I didn't have nice things to say. I can't say those things anymore, but
no doubt.
But I had a very strong opinion on that, and it was one of the first questions I asked when I got into the office, and I was pleased to hear what they had done to actually correct it. So it's nice to know that they're actually working really, really hard to get things done, right? So
what are some of the like big takeaways from you as becoming mayor? I think we've kind of touched on them a bit, but like going into it, like your perception of things have changed and you've learned a lot. So even before you answer, I have to imagine that there's a lot, it's got to be like a thankless job where you must be dealing a lot with people upset or frustrated versus people reaching out to you being like, Brian, like, the township is the best. You're the best. Everybody's the best. I imagine more people are coming to you with problems versus happiness.
I don't get any, great job phone calls.
I try.
I try. It doesn't count when it comes from you. You know me my whole life, so
no doubt.
But no, it is when they say it's a thankless job, it really is. It's nobody calls to, be nice or anything. It's always complaints. Nothing, like I don't ever get an email from somebody that's kind or, oftentimes, and I say it to everybody all the time. I had a call with a resident this morning before I came here, and they said their piece and they were upset and they were explaining why and everything. And at the end of it, they said, I'm really sorry that you have to. And I'm like, but that's the job. You know, I didn't come into this, you know, thinking like, oh, it's all going to be, you know, beautiful and wonderful and everybody's going to be so kind. I came into this knowing that if I don't have big, broad shoulders and I can't take the punches, then it's not going to work out. Right. I can't let it get to me. I can't, you know, I want to do anything I can to help people, and I will do everything I can to help people. It doesn't mean I'm going to be able to help you though. You know, that's the bottom line, right? I'll ask the questions. I'll try to do whatever I can for you, but you know, in most cases, I can't actually do what they want me to do, right? It's just impossible, you know? There's laws, there's rules, there's regulations. It's like, you know, and then it sucks because now you're the guy that has to give that news too, right? It's not easy like, yeah, you just pass it off to somebody else, right? I want people, if I'm going to give you bad news, I'm not going to, you know, hand it over to my assistant or the CAO or anything. I'm going to call you. I'll call you back with the answer, right? I might get the answer from staff, from the CAO, from, you know, whoever the department head is that I need to get it from, but I will be the one to call you, right? That's the job. That's what it's supposed to be, right? People want to know that, you know, they can call their mayor and, you know, he'll answer, right? I take so many phone calls on my personal phone because I just give out my number all the time. I'm like, if you can't reach me at the office, here's my cell phone number, right? So, you know, don't hesitate to call because, you know, you might reach me, you know, during the summer, especially, you're going to reach me on that phone, you know, in that July and August, call me on my regular phone, right? It's the fastest, most direct. That phone is in my hand every second of every day.
If you're awake.
Right? Like I can't not have it. Right. So,
and that's something I must say about you being mayor, and just the fact that I've known you for so long. The thing that's, I would say, comforting for myself that you being mayor is that I know you're a good person. I don't think that there's probably a lot of bad local politicians. There's a mix of different stuff, but like I know you like all sides of you. Well, all sides. I mean, I know you're a good person. You have great intentions. I know that you've had your challenges with the township or whatever, but like I have myself complete faith when you're at that head of the table that your pure intentions and like you do highly consider what's going on in Wainfleet, being here 40 years yourself, 41, plus your family having some of the deepest roots in the community. So for me, that's something like anytime I talk about anyone, it's not just that you're young blood. It's not just that you're not a politician getting into the game. It's knowing that you're a good person. I can say it confidently. So it's like really nice that you're in there with all of those right intentions. And like I think about like how tough it must be. Like I know you could handle anything thrown at you, but it doesn't make it easy.
Right. It still sucks sometimes, right? Like
for sure.
It's you know, like me, I can stomach a lot of it, but I always, like I say to my wife all the time, I'm like, this isn't like just me. I leave a legacy or a opinion on what I do. It reflects my entire family across Wainfleet. You know, if I make a bad decision, somebody might look poorly on my dad or my sister, or my wife, you know, my kids, you know, I don't want, that's the only thing that will ever eat me. Right. I can take anything. It doesn't faze me whatsoever, but it's if you're hurting them because of my actions, that's what, you know, drives me to like, make sure you must do everything the best you can. Right. And you see it all the time. Like I'm not going to waste everybody's time and sit here and, you know, talk about mute points that are just wasting time and energy, right? I see it at the region a lot, right? Like a lot of times, you know, people just like to hear themselves talk, or they want the people to hear them say stuff on purpose, you know?
Right.
I don't need to do that, you know? My decisions are made, my votes are my votes, you know that I'm just going to do the right thing. There's no need to just waste time and energy, you know, talking for no apparent reason. You know, it's just a waste of my time. You know, I don't need to sit here and, you know, like something will come up and it'll be like, it's so glad to see this happen in Wainfleet. You know, yeah, we know it's great. You know, like, yes, I approve. I'm with it. You know, I don't need to like go into deep details like I see it often. Right. And maybe that's just because I'm not a career politician. Right. I am not in this to be, you know, I'm not looking towards the future. I don't have any growth plans for, you know, after the mayor. I don't want to, you know, I'm not trying to be the prime minister or anything, right? Like, no offense, Justin, I think I do a better job, but you know.
Agreed. What are some of the nice perks about being mayor? What are like some of the
there's some interesting things. I got to enjoy Canal Days from a different perspective this year as a guest from Mayor Steele. Got to take my kids on the Empire Sandy, and,
cool.
which is really neat, right? You get to see the inside of things. You become friends with people that you never thought you would have been friends with. You get to see the insides of tours of our fire hall as it's being built and stuff like that. It's nice to get to be a part of that, doing parades. We did the Christmas parade last year together.
Bro, even before you go on, the Christmas parade was so sick.
It was amazing. It was incredible.
We didn't even plan that, right? We just kind of showed up. Did we plan it? The parade was planned, but me and you hanging out, I don't know.
I reached out to you and I was I literally said, you just have to wear right choice and you got to hand out candy. I was like, that was my words to you. I was like, you're going to show up at this time and you're going to hand out candy.
Okay, you made it that easy for me.
Yeah, right? There's a bunch of different organizers that put it together.
That parade was fantastic. That's one of the community things.
Yeah, it was incredible. I hope we even do bigger this year.
Yeah.
But, look how successful it was last year, right? Let's do it again.
I had so much fun because, you gave me such an easy role. I didn't even, I showed up and I got to hand out candy. Robin and I with your family. It was so much fun.
Right?
Yeah.
Sitting on Sea-Doos and, just tossing bags out to everybody and seeing everybody, right?
Yeah,
again, it's that whole community feel. It's the same as Marshville. You're in the center of that parade, but everybody on the sidelines are the people you grew up with. And, it's just nice to see. But, there's a lot of cool events. I just went to the Sport Niagara launch a week or so ago.
What's that?
That's the new fund that's being put in. It's basically a region-wide sport program that's there to support any sport clubs across the region. It's based in St. Catharines. It's at the Summer Games Park. So they've basically taken the profits from the 2022 Summer Games and they've invested it into Sport Niagara. And now there's approximately, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's about $3 million that went into the program. And now that money will be actually invested into whatever kind of investments to start earning more dollars, and then they're going to spend those dollars in Niagara to support, whether it be the Henley Regatta or say Wainfleet wants to host some kind of soccer tournament or anything like that. That's the program that you're going to reach out to get the financial support to bring those events and stuff like that to the area. So that's exciting stuff, right? Me being a sports guy, not your traditional sports, but I get excited. Well, I get excited about that stuff, right? So I was already asked actually to participate next year in a little race next year with some other politicians in rowing too, right? And
rowing race.
Yeah, and I'm like, I used to row, so I'm ready. Bring it on, let's go.
Right? My money's on you for sure.
Oh yeah, right. I had Jessica Miners was my coach back in the day.
I like it.
Yeah, right. Another Case Road,
I like it.
OG right there.
I like that.
There's a lot of cool things. I really enjoy Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority stuff.
Yeah, that's an interesting
I like that
one.
work. I just think it's cool to get to see the insides of that, and being Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority has a ton of property in Wainfleet. It directly impacts
Gord
us.
Harry Trail and stuff.
Gord Harry Trail, the quarry, Chippewa, Long Beach. All of those sites are all NPCA. So it's really nice to see what's happening with that. They're doing a lot of stuff like our drainage work goes side by side with the NPCA because the Forks Road Creek is our main drain for Wainfleet.
Right.
Pretty much the entire municipality drains into it. So when there's studies being done on the Forks Creek, we get to actually use some of that information on our decisions when it comes time to do drainage work as well.
And that creek is not the feeder.
No, the feeder is just a man-made body of water that is not, it's stagnant. It technically has no flow.
Interesting. So that the Forks Road one runs parallel.
It does run parallel. It's the one that runs along the side of Highway 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're driving Highway 3 between Winger and Chambers Corners, you can see it pretty much the whole way. Right. It's actually just before your place almost. It dispels out into Welland River.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right. So nearby, right? It comes out, right? I ride it every winter on snowmobiles.
Oh yeah. Do you still do the 905 River tours too? Is that?
Oh yeah. If people are interested in going, we'll always take them out, right? I don't advise doing the lower Niagara River because almost lost my brother-in-law in there. But maybe we shouldn't have went down there, right?
Maybe a little too far down there.
Yeah, right. We thought we were jet boats and tried to jump the 14-foot wave. We made it, but I went slow on the way back because I had my phone on my seat, and my brother-in-law was right behind me. Well, I had to deke to the side. He ended up upside down and drifting towards the hydro dams.
No.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, it was scary.
So
I thought it was funny. I was having a good time. Right. I rode up to him and said, "Are you okay?" And while laughing, and he was like, "No." As he was like, thump, thump, getting sucked into the current. Right. So I had to pull him out, and Ski was upside down, going down towards the hydro dams type thing, and we rescued him. Right.
Nice.
We got him out there, but we haven't been back since. Right. Aaron says I'm not allowed to do it again. So
gotcha.
I'm gonna trust her on that one. Right.
That sounds like a pretty good order.
Yeah. It's probably I was lucky enough that she let me go skydiving. So
yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was a fun one. That's actually, talk about like the cool stuff that you get to do, right? Being challenged in the news by Niagara Skydive to come jump out of a plane for a charity, right? It's not really a challenge when it's me, right? It's more like an invitation, and I'm like, sign me up, let's go, I'll do it right now.
Yeah, you're wild.
Yeah, right. So that was fun, jumping out at 12,000 feet and raising just short of $3,000 for the Winger School's nutrition program was awesome.
Bro, you're much braver than me.
Right? If you want to go, I'm sure. We could arrange this, right?
I'm good.
Do a pizza review midair.
I'm good. That would be probably a great video. I used to want to do it for a while, especially.
You should try it out.
But now I'm scared shitless, bro. Right. Scared shitless.
We'll set it up. We'll get your team out there.
Yeah. I'm scared. It's good.
Don't be scared. Just shut your eyes and do it, right? Call Lee. Lee will tell you how easy it was.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. What else? There's other things that I can bring up. I don't know if there's things that you want to touch on.
It's your show. Show. You tell me what you want to talk about.
Well, what's been going on? What are some more recent things that have been like getting talked about in Wainfleet? I know
short-term rentals just went through.
That's what I was just going to bring up.
That's it's a touchy one, right?
You want me to start with it?
I'll dive right in. I don't care.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm not afraid. I'll talk about it. Right. So the short-term rental bylaw just got passed. It basically now some of the main things is that it's 3 bedrooms max. You're not allowed more than 6 guests, and you're only allowed 1 stay within a 7-day period. Those are your 2 biggest things. The other one is that you must own a cottage for a minimum of 2 years before you're allowed to start renting it out.
Really?
Right? I personally, I didn't agree with that one. I didn't agree with the 3-bedroom one either. Being a family of 6, I travel with my in-laws a lot. We need a minimum of 4 to 5 bedrooms to accommodate our family. So, unfortunately, my family would not be able to rent an Airbnb in Wainfleet, which, I don't want to see that. I know there's a lot of problems with bachelor parties and bachelorette parties, and we don't want that. We have laws already for that. There's bylaws and noise bylaws and things like that that'll fix those problems to begin with.
Right.
But it was just something that as we all discussed it, it was I wasn't getting anywhere, and you just got to be a team player at some point, and you got to also think about the residents that do deal with all the really hard Airbnbs. There's probably 99% great Airbnb renters, right? Most of these people that are renting these cottages are probably amazing, but that 1% just ruins it for everybody. Yeah, well, and they're just the ones that could cause the problems for everybody else, right? If everybody was a good business owner and everybody ran tight ships, it wouldn't be so bad. There wouldn't have to be these laws.
Let's start with what was the problem? What was the problem that got brought up here?
Problem was bachelor parties, large groups, parking all over the streets, and just, loud nuisances all hours of the day.
And they were renting cottages, short-term rental places.
Yeah. Primarily Lakeshore area.
Lakeshore area, and just causing too much havoc.
Like, you got to get up and go to work on a Tuesday, but you got these people that are partying until 3 a.m., causing all kinds of noise and things like that, on a Monday night, right? Like, wait a minute, no, you can't do that. Like, like I live in what I consider a tourist area of Wainfleet, and
totally.
I expect in the summer that I'm going to hear stuff, we have fireworks bylaws. I still hear fireworks and see fireworks almost every single day all summer long.
Yeah.
Right. To be honest, doesn't bother me in the least. I don't care. Right. But there's a law against it, so you're not supposed to do it. Right. And for some people, it does bother them. They don't want to deal with that, and they're not supposed to have to. So,
that's interesting that you brought that up with business owners and stuff, because that kind of is like a Wainfleet type of, I don't know, mentality or just way of living that we all, for the most part, do try to handle our own stuff. But yeah, when it can't, then the municipalities got to step in.
That's right.
Because it is definitely best when neighbors can get along and resolve whatever things without having to go cry to daddy at the red building, whoever, yourself or anybody. It's nice one, but that's not always the case.
No,
that's interesting.
Sometimes it comes down to that where, I'm like, no, I just don't like you and I'm not going to, I'm just going to be annoying and I'm just going to bug you. And, so then that's when the township has to step in. So unfortunately, I would have not even liked to see this have to happen, but now we do have the short-term rental licensing bylaws. So now it's going to be $1,000 per unit every year annually for anybody that's running one of these short-term rentals, right?
Short-term.
Short-term.
So that's not if somebody rents out a house for the whole year.
No, that's not considered short-term rental. So we're talking just like vacationers. If somebody wants to come and rent your cottage for a week, right? That's considered a short-term rental.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
Most of these businesses that are being run like that, they're being run on residential property. So you can't charge them commercial taxes or anything like that. It's against the law. You just can't. You can implement this bylaw and have a licensing structure to make sure that they're following all the rules, right? Now, with this new bylaw, we do have to hire somebody to enforce this bylaw, right?
Comes with a fee, like we talked about.
Of course, right? And everybody hates that. Everybody, why are you guys hiring somebody else? Why are you guys hiring somebody else? Well, we're responding to a complaint that keeps coming up, right? Residents want answers. They want action on this stuff. So that's why this position has come up, right? The ultimate goal, cost recovery, right? Hopefully everybody, if, say for instance, if everybody in Wainfleet, we have approximately 200 to 300 actual Airbnb listings or, marketplace, if you combine them all, there's like 200 to 300 properties that are being rented. Well, if $1,000 per unit, right, that's $200,000 to $300,000. It's not going to cost us that per year to run this. So hopefully it actually puts a little bit of money, and that money can go back, because with those people that are coming in and staying at these cottages, well, maybe they're using recreational facilities. So maybe some of those dollars can go to offset recreational costs. Like we had to get a new truck this year, or, we're spending time cutting, the grass at the parks and cleaning garbages. Well, maybe some of that extra funds can alleviate some of the pressures from there too. Right. That's the hope. That's the dream, right? Hopefully people play.
I got to ask even how it works exactly. Nice to see you finally drink some water. I know
I was getting thirsty, but
what I'm actually a little bit curious about, whether or not people approve, myself, you, or anything, is how does that actually work when this went from being a community concern amongst whatever people to now becoming, you said it's a bylaw?
Yep.
So what is the actual process of that? So the first thing I have to assume is somebody calling in and complaining.
Yep. Yeah, basically, people keep calling in and keep having the same complaint over and over and over again. Then there's people that have, came as delegations saying that, you guys need to license them or you need to restrict them altogether. Well, the municipality's way of doing that is through bylaw, right? Those are the ways that we can restrict anything, is through bylaw. So after a series of people complaining about it, and we looked into it, this started on last term. They had like the interim bylaw and everything already kind of put in place. They put a freeze on no more short-term rentals, last June, right? You weren't allowed.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So once that all happens, then there's like public meetings to get people's input, even.
Is that like council meeting or is it?
Public meetings where, they discuss the idea of a short-term rental where anybody can speak to that, like you or I could show up at council and ask to speak at the podium, and we could voice our concerns and say what should be done. All that information gets compiled. It goes back to staff. Staff looks at, okay, what are we going to do? Right. So then I came out with this short-term rental licensing bylaw, and it's been redone so many times. Like I've seen 3 or 4 different iterations of it since my term started. And now we're at that final point where, we've done this enough. Everybody's going to have their certain opinions on certain things, but stuff just ain't going to move. So let's just get it going. Let's get it started. And, what we've done is we've said that we're going to revisit it on the annual basis. So every year, once a year, we're going to get a report from staff on its progress, on how it's working, how many, maybe we go back and some of the restrictions that we put in, maybe some of those restrictions get lifted later on because we're not having those problems, right? But first we just got to nip it in the butt and get rid of the issues that we're having, right? So
Interesting. Very interesting.
don't mind that. It's just somebody who wants to rent a jet ski.
You want to take it quick?
No, it's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm closed right now. It's all
Yeah?
right. Yeah. I'm open. I'm municipal today, right? So
nice.
while I'm doing mayor stuff, it's closed for business,
9 to 5
guys. Sorry.
backseat.
Yeah, you can call me after 5:00. I'll be glad to put you in the water.
So that's interesting. That's how it goes. It goes through that whole process. It goes through it. It's not something that happens snap of the fingers,
No.
right? Like that's
This is like a couple years in the making.
couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, nothing is taken lightly. Everybody's got to, you got to compile all that information. And, even just 2 days ago, I got an email about the short-term rental licensing again. Still have
Right.
people come, talking about it, right? And you get the good and the bad. You get people that are happy that the licenses come through, and then you get the good property owners that are upset because now they have to adhere to all these new rules, and they've been doing this stuff for how many years, right? Like you can't tell me that the lakeshore area wasn't built on short-term rentals.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously.
Of course it was built on short-term rentals. Who buys a cottage and can stomach the whole thing, right? That's what most people do. They buy a cottage, they rent it when they're not using it.
Helps
That's
cover the cost so they can
absolutely,
enjoy it.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's, I'd love to own a cottage, but if I buy one, that's the only way I'm going to be able to afford it.
Exactly.
I can't pay 2 mortgages.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. Yeah. See, and like, it's interesting from my perspective. I have like mixed emotions with all of it because first part of it is like you said, okay, so I have empathy, sympathy for the people that were dealing with, whatever was causing problems in their lives.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how do you fix that? So now we have a solution. Myself, when that gets fixed, okay, great. But then when I look at it from like being a broker in real estate, this type of thing, when you put more restrictions on properties, it has a negative impact on real estate prices.
Yep.
So
I see it now. You know me, I'm obsessed with properties, right? I'm always looking at properties, right? And I am seeing multiple properties that you can clearly see are Airbnb, they're set up, and you are seeing them pop up for sale. Even leading up to the short-term rental licensing bylaw, I was seeing properties pop up because people are bracing and going, wait a minute, they're going to put restrictions. We're not going to be able to do this here. Time to sell out.
Right. And see, like that's something to be considerate of, and I'm sure it was taken into consideration, but the people may be making the complaints, like I said, it's nice that they have a solution, and I'm not saying just them, but something trying to look at the picture as much as possible, which is a little bit interesting because it's like, okay, they get their problem solved, and you guys came up with what seems like a good solution because it can solve their problem and possibly be a revenue source for Wainfleet.
Yep.
Fantastic. Now, the other part of the coin, which is like, and this is just theoretically, but some theoretical, some true, but when you put more restrictions on properties versus less, it has a negative impact on property values.
Yep.
So what does that mean? That means the people in Wainfleet, and it's not just in that area because it's like right on Lakeshore, it could be all of Wainfleet. You can't draw exactly the geographical map, but when there's more restrictions, it means that those property values go down. That means those people have less money in their pocket. It also means like it could, in theory, impact values go down there, which would in turn mean less revenue for the township, more money for the people. Like there's pro and con reactions to every decision, right? And that's what makes it tough to
Cause and effect.
Yeah,
all day long. That's all it is.
Totally. So like myself, even still, like from a resident of Wainfleet, I look at it and I'm like, good for those people not having to not be able to go to work or provide for their family because they have a bunch of assholes coming in with no care about them. And then like for me, from that other perspective as real estate, I'm like, man, that sucks because real estate values are going to go down and that sucks for the property owners. But it's like, this is what happens.
Even for the people that, say there's people that do like 3-night stays, that, and they've done it for 20 years at a cottage, you can rent 3-day minimum, something like that. They can't do it anymore. What's that do to their income, right? What's that doing to them? There's so many different variables and so many different ways to look at it that like somebody's getting hurt in every decision you make. Exactly. And that's the really crappy part about all of it is like every time you make a decision, it's going to help one person and it's going to hurt another, you know? And like that sucks. I don't like that. I'm not a person that, you know, thinks like more laws. I don't like that. You know, like we have enough. We don't need more. Let's be real here. Like, you know, people need to be held accountable for them, you know, being nuisances, and, you know, people should just be respectful towards each other. And, you know, if they're not, there should be consequences. You know, you see it too many times across not just like in Wainfleet, but like just across our country or across the world, that like silly decisions, you know, like you read in the paper, like people being sued because somebody tried to steal from them and they, you know, fell and broke their hand or something as they broke into their house, and then they get sued. Like, what? Are you kidding me? Like that's where I say like the system that we live in is just a big broken mess, right? Like where did the accountability go? You know, like if you know, I'm an ATVer and a dirt bike guy and stuff like that. If I'm out riding and I cross across somebody else's property and I crash into a ditch and it didn't have a sign on it, you know, is it the property owner's fault? No.
Come on.
You know,
Come on. Yeah.
You know, like I took my finger off this summer while I was working at Dofasco. I took the end of it off, and, you know, did I blame Dofasco? No, I didn't move my finger in time, you know, so it's my fault, you know, like, sorry guys, it was my fault, you know, like where did that accountability go from people?
I'm not sure where it went, but I tend to find that that's more of a rural area mentality than a city one. Yeah. It seems like it. Like myself, I feel the same way. Yeah. And I have it because I grew up on a farm. Yeah. And like you work, and if you mess something up, you mess it up. And like you don't worry about what your neighbors are doing because you've got work to do. And, you know, if they're doing something like, and even if you don't like it, you go talk to them and you resolve it. But there's...
Well, and at the end... it's your property. Like I'm a big believer in like you get to do what you want on your property. I don't like being told what you can and cannot do. Like I pay my mortgage, I pay my taxes. Like I should be allowed to, you know, live my life how I wish to live it. You know, and you know if my neighbor doesn't like it, well, my neighbor doesn't like it. You know, like that's okay. They don't have to look at it. You know, like just look out a different window, or you know, like
totally.
I struggle with that, right? And I deal with a lot of complaints about silly stuff like that I struggle with because, you know, like, I get it, right? I had to, like a prime one, beginning of my term, I had to deal with a gentleman that unfortunately one of his neighbors complained about his state of his garage, right? He's an older gentleman with a cane, you know, can't walk that well, right? Unfortunately, somebody moved in from somewhere else, didn't like the looks of his garage, called in bylaw. He was given orders to, you know, take this thing down or fix it. He didn't do any of that stuff, you know. Next thing you know, he shows up, wants to have a meeting with the mayor because he wants me to save his garage, right? I couldn't save it. I felt horrible, right?
No way.
It was being taken down, you know, and like it was one of the, like it'll stick with me forever. It was like one of the worst moments of being the mayor of Wainfleet was having to deal with that because like me growing up in Wainfleet, like, you know, you could probably go to some of my family and be like, hey, you should tear that down, you know, like for real though.
That's
but
an
like,
eyesore,
you know,
right?
like growing up as a kid, my dad probably had like 3 or 4 junk cars in the driveway, you know, no plates, you know, probably half of them missing windows because I shot him out with a pellet gun, you know, like, you know, but that was just the way we lived. Like, and it was normal. Nobody cared, you know, but now it's not the same like that anymore now. Right. And
that is
kind of sad a little bit.
That is a tough one. That is super tough.
Right.
Yeah. I know. I couldn't imagine what that conversation would be like.
Yeah. It was a horrible moment. Right. You know, and like at the end of the day, you know, he had the opportunity to, you know, fix it and he failed to do so. You know, that is due diligence. You know, everybody's responsible for their own actions. You got to be accountable for your own decisions, right? He should have done something. He had all the time in the world. He was given ample amount of time to do so. He didn't do it.
Yeah.
So now you're facing the consequences. You know, doesn't make it any easier to have to tell this, you know, elderly gentleman that this is about to happen, you know, and like, sorry, but you know, I can't save you. You know, you could have called me. Well, I didn't know what to do. Right. Well, you should have called, you know, somebody for help 6 months ago when you had the opportunity, not, you know, not 24 hours before they're coming to knock it down. It's already set in stone now. I can't change that. You know? I don't have the authority. I don't have the power. You know, I get that call a lot. I get people that get, tickets and stuff like that think like, you're the mayor, you can wipe out my ticket. No, I can't. If I even imply that your ticket should be voided, then I will be in trouble.
Right.
No, that's not how the world works, guys. Like, I am not allowed to interfere with bylaw. If a bylaw officer issues you a ticket or an order for something, you have to comply. If you don't comply, there will be consequences. I can't save that. I can't stop it. By all means, I will gladly contact them and find out the information and try to get some, clarity on it, but I can't change it. I can't stop it. It's,
good to know for all the guys out there looking for.
Don't call me if you have a parking ticket or anything. Okay. I can't stop it.
Don't
just kidding.
there.
You can still call me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Call him, but don't expect him to be able to get it overturned.
Yeah. Right. I'll explain why you got the parking ticket. But
the one thing that you mentioned a little while ago that I just want to touch on that I think was a really good point when making decisions, and that you're in a position of power, that it's like I said, it's clear that you have good intentions and everything. And I believe when you make decisions or you're part of it or putting out your feelings or anything, that you're doing it with the majority of people or having the best outcome for Wainfleet. But like you said, with making decisions like that, there's going to be people that benefit, and then there's people that don't.
Yeah.
And there's no way almost any decision can get made when you're in a position of power where everybody has a positive outcome, because there's something attached to everything.
It's literally impossible.
It is, right?
Somebody is always going to be the winner and somebody is always going to be the loser.
That's just how it is.
That's why I try to teach my kids the same thing. Everybody's all about participation awards these days, right? No offense. We didn't have participation awards when we were kids. We were raised to understand that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and you just got to take it. It's just the way it goes sometimes, right?
Totally.
But it's a tough world to be in, and it does suck to have to disappoint those people. That's the last thing I want to do is upset anybody. But I have to think of the betterment of the entire community or in the entire township. It's not about personal opinions or anything, right? Like, I find my own personal opinions being pushed on the back burner all the time because I'm required to be non-biased, and even though I might think something, I can understand where the other side comes from, and I'm like, I don't like it, but you're still right. I got to go with it.
And bro, that's great that you can be like that.
Right.
Those words are amazing. I don't like it, but you're right.
Yeah. Well, it's the truth though. Like, you have to, there's no point in getting upset and stressing about it. It is, the way of the world. Like, it's a dark time. I say it all the time. I'm like, I probably came into politics at like the worst possible time. I could have picked like any other time to get into politics. That would have been like an easier, like if the world was flourishing and interest rates were low and, the dollars were flying, everybody would, you'd look like this great hero, right? You come in like one of the darkest times we've seen in our lifetime for sure. It's going to be a struggle, right? Like, it's, but I'm just glad that I get to be there and do it. And, I trust myself more than I trust somebody else. So,
totally, bro.
That was what put me into this, was that, I didn't necessarily feel like, the best intentions for everybody was always being laid out. Right. And, from my own dealings, I just didn't see that. And so that's what brought me to, where I am today. And I'm happy that I did it. And, I'm happy that I have the relationships that I've got within the township now. And, like our CAO, Will, he's fantastic. I've dealt with him for years. And, I will, stand by that guy right till his very last day when he retires, because he does have the right intentions, right? Yeah. Anytime I talk to him, he's like that voice of reason, like, I'm like, well, I want to do this, right? And he's like, oh, I wish you could, right? Between him and our HR staff, like, I feel bad for those guys having to deal with me, right?
Yeah,
Lee over at HR, he's got to hold me back sometimes because the regular citizen Brian comes out and I want to say stuff I shouldn't say. But I just want to speak the truth, right? And sometimes the truth can get you in trouble.
True that.
With this position, it's like one of those great, I have a large responsibility. And sometimes if I speak out of turn, whether I'm right or not, that can have consequences for Wainfleet. Bro. And it can have financial consequences for Wainfleet. Totally. So, I just need to pull back sometimes and I
think you're doing a great job, bro.
Right?
Like I said.
Thank you. Right? I hear that all the time. So it's nice to feel.
I do. And just my input more on it too. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I am proud of you. And I know how difficult it is, and I know how hard it is to try and please everyone. And I think that you're doing a great job. I haven't been, like, as you knew at the beginning, I was doing my best to go to every meeting.
Oh yeah.
Like bro, I got all the support for you.
I stopped calling you and bugging you about him now. I'm like, he's busy.
No, you actually should, because I'd love to go. Even like we're filming today. It's the Wainfleet market. I still haven't gone yet. I'm hoping I can.
I'm hitting it up tonight after I'm done my meetings in Port Colborne this afternoon. I'm going to hit it up.
But I'll still say with you so far is that it's interesting when I follow along with politics and stuff, because like I don't know a lot, but some of the things interest me. Some things I could care less about. And what I've learned with people in power and just people in general is there's not one single person on this planet, including my wife, my mother, my brother, my sister-in-law, my in-laws, that I agree on everything with. I'm sure that if we talked enough, there's things we wouldn't agree on.
100%.
But I haven't seen you do anything yet that disappointed me at all. No. I'm sure there's things that we don't agree on. There has to be.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are, because we agree on so much.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think that you're doing a great job. And I'm sure at some point there's probably going to be something that either you do, say, vote on, or whatever, that's something I not agree on. Yeah. But like that's part of the time where I'll be part of the losers. But like that won't. I don't know what you could do that would make me be like, oh, I hate Brian, because I don't think that's possible, because I don't think that's in you. But like, I think maybe, I don't even know if it's advice or anything, but just knowing, like, you can't please everyone. You can't please the same person all the time.
No.
So like,
you're
doing a great job.
Yeah.
So
thanks, man. I appreciate it. Right?
I know it. I know it. So like, maybe I should, call you more often just to mix it in.
Come on, you were right there beside me, right through the whole thing, right? You were, you were in my corner. You were there when I was going through the election, right? You were at my house right after I won.
Yes.
Yes. Can't ever change that, right? It's, but it's nice to hear it once in a while that like, hey, you are doing okay, because I'll say that coming into it, you get a lot of support from a lot of people, but they all have, like, not that everybody does, but everybody wants something, right? Everybody has their own objectives. They want me to be the mayor because they want me to do something for them, right?
Shocker,
right? That's the bottom line. The last mayor wouldn't do this, so this guy will, though, right? And then when you get there, and you find out you can't do that, and you have to be careful. Like, I didn't make, big empty promises to people during the election. I said I'd look at everything and that I would, be fair, and I'm doing that, right? Yeah. I never said, like, hey guys, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to lower taxes, right? I'm not an idiot. I'm not stupid. I know that the world doesn't just work like that, if I can find revenue streams and it'll work, I'm going to use them. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to slow it down, to stop it for as long as I can. But I can't stop it forever. I can't slow it down 100%. It's an impossible feat, right? And it sucks that people, really think that it should be that easy, right? Like, everybody thinks it's just like the wave of a wand or the snap of a finger, and like, here you go, world is saved, right? No, guys, it's not that easy.
If only,
right? Yeah, if only, right? I'd be the hero of Wainfleet, but it's not that easy, right? There's way more to it than that, and it's going to be a struggle, and it's like I've been taught already. It is not a sprint. It is a marathon. Nothing gets done overnight. Like, even my ambitions, I'm even like, when I bring up big ideas and things like that, they're like, how many terms are you planning on being here? Because you can't just get it done in 4 years. Right. So, even
that's tough, eh?
Even in 4 years, say Wainfleet doesn't want me. Say I've had enough. Whatever the whole scenario plays out to be. Whatever I work on from now needs to be, ready for me to continue, or the next person, and hopefully has the right intentions. Yeah, because it can just, in the blink of an eye, in one election, all your ideas are gone and somebody else's ideas are up. It doesn't take anything to just wipe out all that work. So it's something that everybody has to keep in mind, right?
Takes time. Yeah, I can only imagine. See, like, that's one of the things that's really nice about me having a small company is we can change the pivot of course really easily. We're a few people. Yeah,
right?
yeah, same
Right?
thing, your company. But then when you're talking about
Sea-Doo rentals not doing so good, sell some Sea-Doo, shift gears, buy more service trucks with welders.
no doubt.
Right? Like legitimately, that's exactly the shift I'm doing right now. I'm like, well, just hire more staff in this division and shut this division down more, until tourism kicks back in, and then, okay, filter some more flow this way again, right?
But running a big ship, even like a small township, trying to change course like that doesn't happen like that.
No, it's beyond impossible to just have that stuff happen so fast, right? So, it's just the way it is, right? It's tough, right? Transit, like, yeah, we haven't touched on that one. We should, right? I'm going to check to make sure I'm not going to be late for that.
How are you doing on
here.
time?
I got about probably 15 minutes or something.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, transit's definitely an interesting.
I got to do a pit stop for the wife on the way home, but let me just check that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
double check.
everybody, I'm playing on my phone for a second.
Go ahead, double check. Double check what you got going on there. Because, there's a couple things that I could still touch on. Transit. The other thing, I don't know if you even wanted to talk about, that's a little bit old news that I found interesting, was the electronic voting. That was an interesting one. I don't know if we have time for that or not.
Yeah, the electronic voting for the election.
Yeah, for the township.
I don't know that one. I don't know. I don't have enough information on it because, I wasn't in office when it happened. Right. Mm-hmm. I saw the, way it played out, the township misplaced 29 ballots, scared me really good. Yeah. It worked in my favor. I come out on top with a little bit more, but, when it comes to transit's a big one, right? People seen transit on their taxes this year. It was already in the regional taxes. We were already paying that number, right? The sad thing is we've been paying for regional taxes on transit for something we have never used.
Interesting.
Now we do have transit. People call me all the time. And they're like, why am I paying for transit when I don't have transit? We do have transit.
Did we start getting charged more?
Right. Not yet. So it was baselined for the same, but that doesn't mean, 2024 budget's on the horizon. Costs are going up. What are they going to want? Quite frankly, no offense to the people that do use it. I'm so sorry, but majority of Wainfleet does not live in Wainfleet with the expectation that they are going to have transit service.
Right.
When I was a kid and I got my first job, my mom and dad drove me to the city so I could get my, so I could go to work, that kind of stuff. My parents drove me, and that's probably pretty common, right?
Yeah, same here. Same here. McDonald's for me.
Yeah. The sad thing is right now I can call transit, pick me up. They'll take me to a bus terminal in Port Colborne or Welland, wherever I want to go, for $6. But on the taxpayers, the average cost is breaking down to almost $200 a ride is what it works out to right now.
Wow.
That's not feasible for us. I'm not saying, there isn't a time when Wainfleet should have transit, but like I said, we're in dark times right now. We don't need more costs. We need less right now. So it's something that, I have transit commission meeting this afternoon at 3:00. So, it's one of those things when we come into the budget, unfortunately, I can't get us out of transit. It was a triple majority vote. Kevin actually.
Triple majority.
Yeah. So you had to have at least 2/3 to get it in. Right. Unfortunately, Kevin was like the only person that opposed it at the region. He was like, Wainfleet was like, no, we don't want it. But everybody else said yes. So sorry, Wainfleet. You're in,
Right.
And, he didn't want that. No, nobody wanted it to be a part of Wainfleet.
Kevin being the previous mayor.
Kevin Gibson, the previous mayor. So, he wasn't for it either, but we got stuck with it. We're in it now. Well, we don't have an option to get out.
But just to clarify a little bit, because I know I've heard that one a little bit. So it's something before that vote that we were already paying for?
Yes. So it was already in your regional taxes. Wainfleet was paying, towards this transit system for, whatever X amount of years, right? Say 20 years, whatever, just make a number up.
Yeah.
We were already paying that as a portion of our regional taxes. So they've pulled that from the regional taxes and show it to you separately now. Right. That's all that is.
So that's the only difference right now. And but now we're actually getting a little bit.
But we are getting a little bit. So now I don't know the actual scheduling and stuff, the service schedules, but yes, for $6, you can call and Niagara Regional Transit on demand will come to your house, pick you up and take you to a bus terminal of your choice, whether it be, hey, I need to go to Port Colborne. They will take you to the bus terminal in Port Colborne. They will take you to the bus terminal in Welland. They will take you to Grimsby. And from there, you can use that same ticket to continue to transfer. So like, say I go to Port Colborne, but I'm not actually headed to St. Catharines. So I can go to Port Colborne, I can go to the bus terminal, I can get on the bus, I can transfer to St. Catharines. I can keep doing transfers all the way to my destination, wherever it is I'm going in St. Catharines, say, right? And then when it's time to come back, you do the same thing. You get your transfer, you pay your $6 each way. You get all the way back to, say Port Colborne, wherever you're going to go. You call in Transit on Demand, and they will pick you up and bring you back to Wainfleet, right, to your home.
Sounds good, but expensive.
Right? But it's expensive, right? It costs you $6 each time, but it costs taxpayers roughly $200 a ride. So, right? Where's the, is it worth it?
So with that being said, first of all, it sounds like we got, I don't know what the right word, included, let's put it in the region with that. Yeah. Could there have been another solution, or is it just like,
no,
it's a
right now. So now the question will be, when it comes time to budget, because it's my first time coming up to this, right? Will be, okay, so how does it cost Wainfleet less? Well, how does it cost Wainfleet less? Decrease service levels, right? They're not going to let us get out of it. So do we, only do, certain hours a day or specific, times of day? Like, can we shrink that? Can we, but then, again, there's always going to be a negative to that, right? What if there's like a kid that's using it to, go to college or university or getting like, so,
Yeah, so when you say 200, is that just based on like some averages, or is that like literally
that's
each use?
Off of the 2022's numbers, right?
Gotcha.
So based on usage and cost, if you divide the two out, it works out to like a couple $100
on last year. So it's not exactly like if I called it right now to use it, that it would cost me $6 for sure, and for sure cost the taxpayer $200.
No, right?
Because it would depend on, and if it got used more or less this
exactly.
year.
If we use it more than what we did last year, then that number is
overall.
That is becoming less overall.
Interesting.
But this is also the first year of Niagara Transit's like being amalgamated together. So if we start using it a lot, our cost will go up. They'll want more for that service, right? Well,
so it's like a catch-22.
Yeah, you're going to lose no matter what. And it's like, no offense, like to, the people, like I have cousins that use it, and, it's not a great system for Wainfleet. It works, but it's like, you could be waiting a long time too. It's not like, hey, I got to get to my job at, 8:00. I'm going to call Niagara Regional Transit at 7:00 and I'm going to get to work on time. You better, give yourself some leeway, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not like a perfect system for a place like Wainfleet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's definitely a tough thing, rural area, and talking about transportation. I think a really common theme for kids, young adults, teens, whatever you want to call them, tends to be we want to get our driver's license as soon as possible so that we're able to navigate around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
But
like being a kid in Wainfleet, 16 years old, I was driving a car.
Yeah, of course.
But turned 16, license.
Yeah. Same.
Right.
First
like
day. Yeah.
12 to 16, saving for a car.
Yeah.
I
wasn't as fiscally.
Right. I don't think I actually did it either, to be honest. I think I had to borrow mom and dad's. Might have crashed a couple.
That happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's the way she goes sometimes. Right.
This has been good. I still have just a little bit. I don't know if there's anything that you want to touch on.
Just Wainfleet, thanks for voting for me, and I hope I'm doing you guys all proud. And if I'm not, don't hesitate to call.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a great.
If I don't know that I'm doing something you guys don't like, well then I don't know how to fix it. So don't just sit silent. Make sure you actually voice your concerns and let me know what's going on and what you're thinking, so I can try to do my best to help you guys.
Yeah, I think that's a great offering. And if I say anything to people, I think even when you do have something that is a complaint or a challenge for you, just to come to Brian with an open mind, knowing that he's dealing with a lot of different considerations with every decision. I think that's really important. I'm not sure if everybody is or not, but I think that's important.
No, it is. Yeah, it's a tough game to have to navigate through, right? So yeah, just give a little bit of leeway, right? It's It's not easy, but I got big shoulders. So, if you're upset about something too, and you just need to vent out,
bring it on.
Don't be afraid. I can take it.
Will is retiring.
Yes. Will is retiring.
Has he set a date?
He'll be retiring the end of the year.
End of the year. So that's Will Colassa, our CEO.
Yep.
I've had a lot of great interactions with him.
Same.
So wishing the best for him.
I'll be honest. I was sad when I heard that he was going, even though I've my very short time with the township, just because leading up to me becoming the mayor, he was my go-to as a business owner. I kind of I don't know if I was just being a foolish, arrogant kid or what, but I went straight to him, not counsel most of the time. I was like, no, I'm going right to the horse's mouth. I want his, insight, because he's always been super friendly and super knowledgeable, very non-biased guy, just a great guy all around. So it was really sad to hear that, he's leaving at the beginning of my term here, and, I'm not going to have him in my corner because he's just so full of great knowledge and, with him leaving and Mallory stepping in, it's honestly going to be a great fit. Mallory has worked really, really hard, and she definitely has earned her seat at that table. So
she's been at the township for a while now.
She's been at the township for a really long time. Everybody talks about, Mallory's husband also being the CAO of Port Coburn. He's also our former CAO. Honestly, a lot of people, they give negative comments about it and stuff. Honestly, two heads are better than one, guys. This is a power couple of great people that have done nothing but try to do good for their communities that they both work in now. And if people are concerned oh, Mallory's just coming into this, right? Well, everybody started somewhere. Everybody had to work their way up, and you have to remember that she isn't just coming into this fresh, brand new. She also bears all the knowledge from Wainfleet from her husband at the same time, she's a strong person. She is going to, honestly, she's going to rock at this position, right?
I like that.
She's definitely a powerful person, and she doesn't get pushed around, and that's what Wainfleet likes to see. We want people with grit. So she's gonna surprise people. If they have any doubts, they're gonna find themselves taking it back when they really see how she goes. So,
I like it. I'm looking forward to it. I know there was just a little bit of people chattering with everything when
of course.
Position got filled, right. But I'm looking forward to it too. I've talked to Mallory a few times. I don't know her as well as you. Obviously, I don't know anybody, but I'm hoping, and I've mentioned to her or anybody on staff too, is I'm more than happy to have any of them come on here. I know most people don't have experience making content, so it might be a little bit nerve-wracking. But
you give me a list of who you want, okay? I'll set it up. All right? I'll send them all over.
Well, I mean, if they'd like to, because there's there's Mallory, right? Richard's been in at the township a long time. Planning, Sarah's over there. I mean, there's, because all these different people have different positions, but I know not everybody's comfortable doing content. So
I think you'd be surprised. They'd probably join you.
The invite's open for all of them. Even anybody that works for the township. I find it interesting to hear what their perspectives are because everybody sees it from different ways. So
there's lots of different views, right? That's for sure, right? There's boots on the ground. There's administrative. Exactly. It's it doesn't just stop in one department.
We'll start tidying it up. Is there anything on the near horizon with the township that is getting tabled or anything?
Nothing really huge. We're still in 2024 budget stuff is just starting to be just the tip of the iceberg is just it's coming kind of thing. We don't have anything huge going on right now, major projects or anything. Obviously the South Consolidated Drain, the Big Forks Drain, we're working through a lot of drainage stuff. The Regional Road 45, the bridge is still out there. It's been out for a long time, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on with that, still in the works, right? Don't think it's being put off. That's a regional issue, but it is happening, right? Sooner or later. It's just there's a lot of different pieces that got to come together before it can, until we can actually get it built. So, but it's right up there on the region's radar. So, to the people that are affected by that, that are having to drive all the way around for their kids, they're doing their very best to try to get this done as fast as they can. So, hold on, guys. Right? We're coming.
Hold on tight.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I think this was good. The one thing that I asked a couple other people that I think would be fun, it's just a fun ending, is your death row meal. If you're on death row for being the best mayor in Wainfleet, and they
my best wheel. Okay. This is like this is a tough one. Okay. Like yeah, well, that's okay. So like I'll tell you, I almost eat one of these a day. Okay. Twisted Chicken Club, Brian style. Okay. With sweet potato fries from the Hungry Putter if it's the summer. Okay.
Nice.
Dessert. You got to get a peanut butter cup, Razzle, double peanut butter cup, but made with chocolate soft serve. Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's my Razzle. Okay. Remember that one.
Do you have a pen? I want to write this down.
I got one of your pens right here.
I like it.
Right?
Because
I'm telling you, it's deadly. Like, all right, I think I'm the only one that does it. Right? Most people probably don't even know you can even request chocolate instead of vanilla.
I knew you would have something good.
Right. And then if it's not winter, or if it's not summer and we're into the winter, I'm a big fan of the filet mignon over at Garden House, right?
Oh,
if I want like a nice, like, you know, it's expensive, but you know what? I don't bite into that thing and regret spending money on it ever. So you know,
Nice.
it's amazing. And I always get the extra hummus. Me, who's like the pickiest eater in the world.
Yeah,
my
you
wife
are.
got me to try it one day, and now I eat like gallons of it. I could just like eat it out of a tub.
Hummus is
Right?
delicious.
Oh, it's so good. He's got the roasted red pepper hummus. Oh,
Nice.
so good. So, you know,
Nice.
yeah, if you're looking for the fancy stuff, that's what you go to. Tuesday nights, usually my wife and I do the Wainfleet restaurant, right? Grilled chicken dinner. I get roasted potatoes instead of mashed. It's my go-to.
That
Right?
sounds good too.
Right? Aaron always goes with the salmon, right? Usually almond crusted salmon with mashed. You know?
Solid.
So, you know, that's my Wainfleet picks for food, right?
So death row, would you have all of those? Just
I think I would need to be honest, right? Like I need a bite of everything.
what is the wrap Brian style? What does that mean?
Right. Oh, Brian style just means like no veg, basically. When I get
Gotcha.
a Twisted Chicken Club, because it comes with like lettuce and tomato,
Yeah.
I don't do that stuff.
So what's
right?
on it though?
Right. For me, it's just I think it's Havarti cheese, chipotle mayo, and bacon,
And
just,
chicken.
and chicken. That's it.
Giver.
Straight up, right? There's some other wild ones out there, right? Like Lenny and Carl, they put up with a lot of stuff for me. They make crazy concoctions for me. I'll be like, "Can you make this?" And they'll do it. You know, at one time, they were actually making me breakfast menu every morning. Right? I told them I hated going all the way to Port Colborne to get food, so Carl went and bought all the stuff I wanted for breakfast
Oh, wow.
sandwiches, and he served me breakfast for like 2 straight summers.
That's amazing.
Right? You just had to ask for it. So he doesn't have it anymore. I haven't done it this year. So, you know, don't go there and say, Brian said you can get breakfast, right?
Yeah. Bro, this was
Been a
sick.
slice.
This was sick.
Yeah, this is actually for my first time on a podcast.
Bro, you did
not
great.
bad, right? Yeah.
Bro,
Right.
you did great.
Yeah, I've never spoken to a big microphone like this.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like I'm Drake.
I love it. This was great.
All right.